That presumption of need is not a good business plan. Where the initial mind, put it there, what of things.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm sorry I was a little bit late. There were some glitches on my laptop. I could not log in immediately, but right now I'm in. I'm able to log in successfully, and we are able to go. I'm sorry for making you wait for so long. Bida, please, if you're there, can you enable me to share my screen? Hello, do you hear me?
Yeah, I can view your screen and you're loud and clear. Thank you.
All right. Trying to reach to Bida to make me able to share the screen. Yeah, sorry members for the silence. Those ones who are wondering what is going on. I'm supposed to share my screen so that you also follow along what I'm doing, but then I was not able. Bida was the one who opened the classes, and then he did not enable me to be able to share my screen. So I'm trying to reach him. So when he makes it very soon, we shall continue. Don't get worried. Yes, can you see my screen now?
Yeah, we are seeing it.
Hello? Okay,
Yes, please, we are seeing your screen.
okay. Once again, I apologize for the glitch, and this is technology. Anything can happen at any time. So, by the names, I'm called GB Moses Daniel. I'll be the one taking you through this topic today. And the topic is the 5-step fact-checking process. Since you started, you've been learning a lot of things about the tools, about the Google productivity. So it's a collection of knowledge to make sure you're able to fact check. But then before you fact check, you should know the processes and even what to fact check. To introduce myself briefly, GB Moses, currently associate editor at 2-1 Check. One of my roles is to fact check, to monitor the social media, and then another role that I'll be in direct contact with you is making sure I follow up what you're doing. I guide you how you're learning or how you're picking up. In case you get any challenges, feel free to get to me, and then we will sort out if there's any other challenge that you're facing, especially about fact checking. Now that you're going deep into the course, we expect you to be picking the skills, and you'll be able to be fact check, to be able to make fact checks. So it's not a day's thing or 2 days thing. It's a process that takes a lot of somehow time and needs guidance and needs support. So as you do your practice, any challenges that you find, feel free to get to me. My contacts are in the WhatsApp group, GB Moses. I use the Zen number. You can either come through in the inbox. Yeah, so I think we can continue. Today's topic, we are going to look at the 5 steps of the fact checking, but then we just don't go direct. We have to let's look at the content or what you are going to learn. You're going to learn how to identify fact checks or how to identify a claim that can be fact checkable. Then another thing you're going to learn questions to consider when determining what to fact check. This one relates to the first point, like identifying the claim. So which question do you ask yourself, or which guiding questions do you put across to make sure you identify that this one qualifies or not? And then another area that we're going to look at is going to be identifying suitable sources to validate fact checks. This is also very important because for you to produce a quality fact check, you must have sources that proves that this thing was false or it's true. And then you must be trusting in your sources, not any other source. Then third, the fourth one, we are going to look at fact checking ratings. How do you rate fact checkings? Yeah. Then finally, we are going to look at the 5 steps themselves. We're going to have some examples from different fact checking houses. The learning objectives. By the end of this training, we expect everyone to be able, to identify suitable claims to fact check. Yeah, then you must be able to select relevant sources to use when debunking claims or fact checking. Debunking is another word for fact checking. Debunking happens when a rumor has already gone out, and then you need to tell the public that this was a rumor, and then you bring the truth. And if you see or you suspect that a rumor is going to go out there, then you come across it before any other person, and then you put a disclaimer. That one we call pre-banking. Then at the end, by the end of this training, you also be able to provide suitable ratings to the fact checks. Yeah, we shall look at all of this as we go. Yeah. Before we continue, I'm going to request you. I know it's our first time to handle a class together, but I know some of these words are not new to you, or to some of you at least. So as I'll be discussing, I expect us to be interactive. You also be giving your views, what you know. As it's learning, we learn from each other. Yeah. So let's begin with the role of fact checking. Maybe I'm going to ask a question like, why do you think fact checking is important? Like to you, especially the learners, why did you have to join this class so that you become a fact checker? Why is it important? You can unmute and give your answer, or you can write in the inbox.
Yes.
Yes, Kenny.
Yeah, this is Christopher.
Christopher, yes. Christopher.
Yes, Kenya is also in line.
Okay, Christopher, you can talk before I go to Kenya. Why do you think
Okay. Yes, I think fact checking is important so that people can get alert on fake news and some other rumors that may affect the environment of the community.
Okay. Yeah. Alerting people about rumors. That's good. Kenya is still there? Hello. Hello. Okay, I think we've lost Kenny. So, as Christopher put it, one of the roles of fact checking is to alert the public about fact checking, about rumors. You know, a lot of rumors can pass out there, and it. Hello. Hello. Hello, Kenny. Okay, let's continue. Yeah, Kenny was on, but I think we have lost him. One of the roles of fact checking is ensuring publics get accurate answers. A rumor may circulate around the public, and then it can cause fear or anxiety. But when a fact checker comes out and clears the air, it gives the public confidence, and you consume the accurate news. Then, secondly, content from organizations, politicians, and individuals is often skewed towards their interests, combining facts with untruths. Propaganda, PR here means public relations, and exaggerated statements. So someone will make a little bit of information, then he twists it according to his or her interest, politically, individually, or in any other way. But when a fact checker comes out and clears the air and tells them, no, this is the truth, or this is not supposed to be like this. So that's also one advantage or one role of fact checking that is being done by fact checkers. Yeah. All these are questions. There are a lot of questions that may go out there in your minds or in the minds of the people that everyone needs an answer, but no one can give that answer. But when fact checkers come out and they give detailed research about these topics, then you find that all these answers will be answered. All these questions will be answered, and people will live with peace in their minds. We go to the next slide. Now we're going to the part where what is fact checkable and what is not fact checkable. Here we have misinformation and disinformation. Can someone tell us the definition of misinformation before you go to disinformation? What is misinformation? Hello? Hello? Okay.
Okay, JB, this is Mandanya.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you know by misinformation?
Misinformation is like when you share an information online. Okay, a false information online without the intention of causing harm to the public.
Yes.
Yeah, that is according to me.
Okay.
Let me correct
Any
that.
other? Any other?
Yeah, yes, the shadow.
Okay, yes, shadow.
Yeah, misinformation is actually when you share information that is inaccurate and you intended to tell that. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it is
Yeah,
intended.
exactly. Misinformation is false or inaccurate information that is shared deliberately to deceive, or intended to deceive. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say something, but since you have,
Okay, you can say it.
okay. Okay, I was trying to say that misinformation is like getting information, passing information in a wrong way, like changing the meaning of information, something like that. Changing the message, the information, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Misinformation is generally passing wrong information, like to deceive. The intention is to deceive. And then for this information is sending false information intended to mislead, e.g. propaganda or, yeah. For example, someone will send misinformation, sharing info. Let's begin with the disinformation. Disinformation is when people share intentionally create false or misleading information to make money, have political or even social influence, or maliciously cause trouble or harm. That is disinformation. What slightly Mandenya was instead trying to say. So the definition Mandenya gave was for disinformation, not misinformation. And then misinformation now is when people share disinformation, like intentional, the information which was shared before, now someone shares it without realizing that this is wrong, but you keep on sharing with the intention. You hope that you're helping your community, but you're sharing wrong information. Then thirdly, we have malinformation. Malinformation, this is information that is true or factual, but it is intentionally conveyed in order to inflict actual harm or cause the imminent threat of harm on a person, organization, or a country. Yeah. Here we can give an example. For example, like when you have been in relationship with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, then you separate and you have a lot of secrets together. So because you've separated and you want to cause pain to your ex, then you intentionally share some painful facts about that person. And that one, I've just brought it as an organization, but anyone can use it with different intention, either political or social or in any other way. Yeah, so we have different types of misinformation and disinformation, and one of it is, we have like 10 that we put them here. I'm going to go through them. One of them is false connection. Let me hope you're seeing the screen clearly. Yeah, one of the misinformation is false connection. Here is when headlines, visuals or captions do not support the content. For example, someone will bring a different picture, then puts down differently. I remember a few months ago when a bishop of Kajokeji diocese passed on, there was a newspaper which published the story, but instead of putting his picture, they put the picture of Yakan. So that was, they did not intend, but then it was the wrong information going through. So it's a it was a misinformation. Then another type of misinformation is manipulated content. Like when genuine information is manipulated to deceive. This could be a picture. With the coming of technology, someone will play around with tools and change the picture of someone to a funny, not the original person, but something that looks like exactly that person or slightly that person, but in a funny way. And then that is also a misinformation. Another type here is misleading content. Yeah, where someone will get information about someone, and then you frame it just against some individual, which is not fine, which is not correct. So that is also misinformation. Then another type is fabricated content. Yeah, content that is 100% false. Like when you check on a lot of online pages or groups in South Sudan, you can name a lot of them. Others, I think they are created specifically to write about specific individuals, and then they write wrong information about them. So without evidence, but the way they write, they will tell you, you'll be made to believe that this person has made a lot of research about this. But when you analyze, you find that everything is just fabricated without sources, without credible sources. Oh, then another type of misinformation is sponsored content. This is where advertising and PR comes in, or something that hides behind that. Someone will pretend to be doing PR or to be advertising, but is advertising wrong information. This one is like mainly the health. Oh, these people advertising drugs, especially herbals. They will tell you this medicine or this herb treats over 10 or 20 or 30 diseases. Then they write good about it. They give you false scientific information. So generally it is misleading. Others even say herbals, there are herbals that treat cancer, there are herbals that treat AIDS, something which is very hard somewhat, to some extent, to believe. But they write it and they spread it through the internet, make sure everyone gets. And during in that course, not everyone will be wise enough to run away from it. Another one is false context. Yeah, when genuine content is shared with false contextual information. This one, something may be true, or it happened somewhere, maybe in Uganda or Kenya or any other place, but then someone will come and say this happened in South Sudan. I remember yesterday I fact-checked a claim that was published by one of the online papers. I don't know, online Facebook pages here. They say there was a man who was arrested in Gudele. He was found when he was selling dog meat along Gudele Highway. So when it was fact-checked, when I fact-checked it, I found that there were internet footprints of the same picture in different locations. So it's false. Yes, it happened somewhere, but it didn't happen here. So it's still wrong. It's still false. And that's not the only example that I can give. I know you've seen a lot of such happening. Something happened somewhere a long time ago, or even if not a long time ago, but because someone wants to make news, or he brings it and localize it to the local context here, which is wrong. Then another type of misinformation or disinformation is satire or parody. This is with no intention to cause harm, but has potential like to fool, something that is just for fun. But then at the end of the day, some people will fall it and take it as a fact. And yet it's not a fact, it's a false information. Then another type of disinformation or misinformation is imposter content. Like when genuine sources are impersonated. Here, someone can decide to create a Facebook page or Facebook profile account, and then on a different person's name, So the person may be popular, maybe a political figure or a popular doctor or scientist. Then someone somewhere sits behind his phone or his laptop and creates a Facebook account using that person's pictures, that person's name and everything. Then either decides to create content that is attacking other people or trying to take advantage of the person's profession. If the person is a doctor, he may decide to say, I'm doing this, I'm treating this disease like this. So it's not the real person doing that, but someone is using his name or using his name through the Facebook. Or you may write a post saying, I'm the one, but then it's not the one. So that's also another type of misinformation or disinformation. Then we have propaganda. Propaganda is content that is used to manage attitudes, values, and knowledge. So someone will just, mainly this is political, maybe social, it can happen, but someone creates information about someone or something or organization just to defame it or to create a data picture about that. Then you try as much as possible to make sure the information you're passing is correct, but then it is wrong. That's also in another way a type of misinformation. Then we have finally we have errors. You know, when an established news organization or someone a blogger who has a very serious following makes an error, it might look simple, but the impact it causes, because you have your followers, and then it may cause an uproar among your followers. For example, a few months or sometime back, there was a time iRadio published its online page, published news with some errors, and there was a lot of questions. People were asking why. Then at least they came out and they corrected that error. Much as anybody can do errors, that's why when you're publishing or when you're going online, you have to make sure you check your sources very well, you check your article very well. By the time you publish, you avoid some of these things. There may be some tiny error, but it has a serious impact in the community or among your followers. Yeah, so let me hope I'm not too fast, or you are getting me. We can have a minute or two. If there's a question or anything that you've not understood well, the floor is open. You can raise up your hand and then you ask the question or you make the clarification. If you have some information that you think we also need to share, you need to share so that we can get from you, you're welcome. Hello? Yes, Henry.
Yeah, I think my question is going to be like, I see the 10 types of mis and disinformation. Does it mean those 10 types it applies for both misinformation and disinformation, or there is particular ones for misinformation, then others for disinformation?
Yes, they apply for both, but then it can happen at different times. You know, someone may decide to do it at a different time. Like someone may decide to share false information knowingly that this is false with intention, right? And then someone will share it when he doesn't know that this is This is it. So it comes when you know the difference between misinformation and disinformation. Now, when you look at the rumor going around or the claim that's going around, you'll be able to distinguish that this is a mis or disinformation.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Yeah, I think it's clear now.
Okay. Okay. Any other? Okay, if there's no other, we can go to the next. Or there's
I think there's a,
okay.
a question in the chat
Can you have
box.
seen your question in the, yeah, I've seen, yes, I've seen your question in the chat box. Let's first continue. I'll answer it afterwards. Is that okay?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay. Now we go to the next step of identifying claims to fact check. What you're supposed to do, or what you're supposed to look at before you decide that this claim needs to be or qualifies to be fact checked or not. So you scrutinize. The first point is you look through social media platforms. You as a fact checker, you're supposed to be an internet citizen, or especially social media. You're supposed to have your presence on Facebook. You're supposed to have your presence on WhatsApp, at least Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. I don't know how many, or like roughly how many social media handles does most of you have? Maybe you can write them in the chat box and we see. Because most of the rumors move fast through the social media. That's why you're supposed to be there. You're supposed to be in WhatsApp groups. You're supposed to be on Twitter. You're supposed to be Instagram and YouTube. And TikTok is coming up, though it's for videos, but then there's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of backbiting, a lot of sharing content, which is not supposed to be shared in TikTok. So your presence there will also expose you to be identifying those claims. Then another area that you're supposed to be well versed with is the newspapers, the television, the radio, and the websites. Much as this one, mainly the radios, newspaper, and television are becoming less and less. You are supposed to have your presence there too. I personally, I rarely watch TV and I rarely read newspapers, but at least as the internet is evolving, most newspapers are coming online. They're having their online presence, like soft copy. So when you go online, at least you make sure you have access to these newspapers. And even some TV stations are having their online presence, their pages, Facebook pages. So whatever they telecast, at least they'll write, even the radios and of course the websites. So your presence there will expose you to rumors and news. So generally, you're not supposed to look for rumors only or claims only, but you're supposed to be updated with all what is at least happening around you, so that when something comes around, you're able to identify very easily that this is a fact or this is a rumor. Then another app is another avenue is crowdsourced claims. These are Tiplines, CrowdTango, and then TweetDeck. These are just examples. Tipline, this is a line that that is put like a hotline. The people will, when someone somewhere sees finds a claim, either calls you or he sends it through. Then CrowdTango is an app which is given to organizations mainly, and then for you to access it, you're supposed to be given permission by the person controlling or the organization controlling it. Then this CrowdTango mainly monitors Facebook. So when you may decide to say, I'm going to monitor this news about maybe Juba or South Sudan. So anything along that line, whatever is happening will be, you'll get the updates or you'll get the alerts. So as you get the alerts, you come to realize that this is a fact or this is or this one needs to be fact checked. Then we have TweetDeck. TweetDeck is specifically for Twitter. So you set your Twitter account, and then you choose what you want to monitor, whatever that you want to monitor. This is real time. So anytime you go there, you find the news coming to your account as it is happening. So you start to scan through if there's something suspicious, then you select and you start to fact check. Another one is speeches made by prominent people. For example, when the president of a country or the governor of a state or the commissioners, when they're having meetings or when they're on radios, when they're talking to the public, they're talking, their speeches are sensitive, they're sending information. So what you do is you be attentive and you see what they are saying. Is it true? This one is mainly during campaigns where people some have to lie, you know. Yeah, so as they're campaigning, everyone is trying to make sure it's the right candidate. And in that process, you find that some of them will say out what is not happening to make sure they are clean or to make sure they convince the voters to vote for them. So as you identify those during those speeches, then you can sit down and look for sources, rightful sources, or then you fact check. I remember as we go through, you have to understand some standards. So when identifying the claim alone does not make it a good to go, there will be other steps that you have to follow to make sure you come up with a clean fact check. Let's continue. Significance, and that's another point as you are during the process of identifying your fact check, a claim. You have to make sure it's newsworthy. What's the importance of this? Like, it may be a false or it may be wrong, but why? Why do you need to fact check it? Does it have any impact? Does it have any, is it going to destroy someone's image, or is it going to cause harm, or is it going to cause losses financially? So you find out the significance. Then some claims are also significant because of who said them. Yeah, the sources. Like when maybe I'm the one who said it, then I'll be like, who is he? But when the president says it, to raise questions if it's wrong. Like when I say something wrong, people may not be serious with it. But when someone prominent, the president or a governor says it, for himself alone, he's he commands a lot of authority, and whatever he says is taken with, Then another thing is source. Reach out to the sources, like after identifying all this and deciding the significance of the newsworthy and the sources, you have to reach out to the sources. Then after reaching out to the sources, you have to look for the data now to back up your claim. Now, this is the real point of fact checking. Without the data, even if everyone knows that this is a claim, this claim is wrong, but then what backs you up? How will you convince the people that this one is wrong or not wrong? Yeah. Identifying claims to be fact-checked. This is continuation. Not all statements are created equal. Here are some criteria that we use to help establish a hierarchy of importance to fact-check. Yeah, amounts that can be checked and verified. What statements that are causing the most buzz? Yeah, for example, something may be said today, then said again tomorrow. Then, like when it is said and people follow it up, people begin to talk about it. So you'll have to pick the interest because of why when it is said, a lot of people get interest in it. People of all walks of life, they raise a lot of questions. So when you come out and fact check it, and everyone knows the truth, this buzz will calm down and everyone will feel satisfied. Then statements that have gone viral on social media or are being repeated often by public officials. This one is also important. Some statements come out and they don't want to disappear. This one says it, then the other one says it. So you have to come out and fact check. By the way, as a fact checker, when you're fact checking, your findings are not only limited to false or misinformation or wrong. Sometimes you can fact check and you find that the information is correct. So someone may say it and then it causes tries to cause confusion in the public. People don't believe it whether it's right or wrong. But you can fact check and find out that this claim was right, or yeah, it was right, much as it had risen a lot of suspicion, as long as you give your backup. Another one is statements that can be proved or are well supported by facts. That's also when you're going to fact check, you have to put this into consideration. There are other things that they are wrong, yes. But when you come to fact check or when you come to check them, you cannot. Mainly when you come to fact checking, most of the sources are online sources. These are sources that you can quote in your fact check. You cannot say so and so told me this, that this was wrong or this is wrong. And then the reader cannot trace that so and so, because the reader you will not be there with the reader all the time to defend or to tell him, yes, this source is credible. So your statements or your sources the facts should be easily got and they should be easily traced. Any question or any query before we continue so far? Okay. If there's no query, let's go to the next. But this slide here has issues. Let me try to change the background of. Oh no. It's not clear. So let's get to the public interest worthiness matrix. Here, this one still helps or still goes with these other points, identifying claims to fact check. For you to decide, you have to look at the virality or the tendency of an image, video, or piece of information to be circulated like rapidly and widely from one internet user to another, or the quality or the fact of being viral. You know, some misinformation can be shared by one person and then it goes down. Like it ends with that one person who has shared it. But there are others, you'll find that this, when it starts to be shared, especially here with the local online Facebook pages, you'll find it on Juba, Hot in Juba, then Juba Eye, then all those common news blogs. So when you find it in more than one or two or three, and then it is shared today, it comes back tomorrow, and then the other day, it raises suspicion. You'll need to find out, is it true or not true? That's the virality we are talking about here. Then secondly, also you have to look at the harmfulness or the likelihood to cause harm. You know, some of this misinformation or these rumors are about health or medicine. Like someone was saying, there's a sour soup is a medicine for cancer. So when you find, like, you know how cancer can be serious. So when a patient finds that information online, and then after the pain and the suffering that person has gone through, he'll be like, yeah, if this is the medicine, then I have to take this. At the end of the day, this person will leave the medication that he's supposed to take from the professional doctor, then he goes for this. So in the long run, or even in the short run, it may cause harm. This person may die just because somebody shared misinformation and the other person's intention is to get money or something like that. Then another area that we have to look at is the rate at which it can be believed. You know, some facts, some misinformation can be easily believed, or someone can say no. For example, last week, yeah, there was a rumor that went through at the middle of the night, you know, that people should not sleep inside. People should go out, and earthquake is going to happen. And given the situation in Syria and Turkey, what has been happening there, people have died, and the earthquake there happening again and again. So it raised a lot of concern among whoever was shared with, and a lot of people slept outside, in fact, or at least if others don't sleep outside, but at least they try to tell their other friends or loved ones that this thing is not good, it's bad. So I think those you've been following the 211 Check page and website, at least this thing was debunked immediately in the morning, and calm came to the people. Then factualness also is another factor that you should look at when you're going to fact check. How factual is the piece of information? Is it based on a well-established a reported body, or it is based on opinions and inaccurate claims. You know, there are facts, then there are opinions. Opinions are personal, like someone may decide to write an opinion or may decide to say an opinion that according to me, this is this, or this is how it's supposed to be. There's no scientific proof, but that's what he thinks. And then some other people may come out and they say, this one is going to be like this, or this one is like this scientifically, and yet it's wrong, or he has no backing up. So some people don't differentiate between a fact and an opinion, and then in the long run, they want everybody to believe, to take their opinions to be facts. So when you see such, you also have to put into consideration and look at it and say, this person who shared this thing, what was his base? What made him to share it? Or why did he decide to share it? Is it a fact or it was just an opinion? So if it's an opinion, you can just leave it and continue, because much as if you find that if it's going to put the other three in danger, that's when you can fact check. When is, you see people are going to believe it as a fact, yet it is just an opinion, or when you see it's going to bring harm to a group of people or to the people, or it's going to go viral and it's going to cause people, like, but if you can identify it and see that it has no harm, people are not going to believe it because it's an opinion and it's not going to go viral. Yeah, you can do away with it. I don't know whether we are together in case of anything. In case you have any challenge, you can put in the chat box. If there's nothing, let's continue here. The fact-checking process. This is an example from PesaCheck. PesaCheck is a fact-checking house in Kenya. So this is how they do it in their fact-checking organization. First of all, they identify the claim. Then after identifying the claim, they scrutinize and look for evidences. Is it right? Is it correct or not? Then after they find data, they look for evidence now. Like mainly you can go online, you can go to books, but make sure whatever source you're looking the correct information from is quoted and can be referenced. Then stage number 3, they authenticate. They make sure they assess the information. Yeah. Then they verify. Now, after verifying, finding that this is correct, whether it's true or false, with all the evidences backing it up, then they send it to the publishing department and it will be published. So another example here of fact-checking process, the 5 steps of fact-checking process. First of all, you get the query, or you get the new query. Then after you check the image and the text, clustering it to surface demand. This is trying to find out all the relevant sources, from the relevant sources, whether it is correct or not correct. Also, you have to find out whether it has been fact-checked before or not. So if you find that this claim has been fact-checked already, you just report to the user most times, or the person who sent you, or person who's trying to find out whether this thing is false or is not false. So when you find that it's not fact-checked, then you go to automatic triage based on editorial preferences. So we go back to the same stages, the fact-checking stages that we saw up there: identifying, After identifying already we are at the identifying stage. Now you realize that it's not fact check, then you have to find data. You authenticate the data, then you verify the claim, and it's published. So here we have journalist review and editorial response. Then the new report is published. If the sender if he needs it, then you send it to him. If not, you can publish it in your sources, either Facebook page or your if it's WhatsApp group or the website. So this is how a fact-checking editorial team should look like, or how it is put up. First of all, we have an editor. The editor sets the agenda and maintains quality. So so after the editor, we have the analyst. Turns the signals into evidence. Now here this one looks for evidences from everywhere, that when a claim is brought up, it is worked on. And when it is worked on, then the evidence is referenced. Then behind editor, we have copy editor. This one fixes defects and creates standards for the fact check. As the fact check is published, it just doesn't come like any other, like any other article. When you've been able to go to 2-in-1 check, when you've been able to see 2-in-1 checks, fact checks, you'll be able to tell us that you see the logo of 2-in-1 check there, and then how it is designed. It's not just like any other normal article. So it's not only 2-in-1 check that does that. All other fact-checking houses have different designs, and then this is done by the copy editor. In line with this one, we also have the designer. Visually explains complex concepts. This one is self-explain the context and the context around evidences. The researchers, yes. When you identify the claim, it is not the copy editor or the designer who will look for evidences. It's the researcher who will try to reach out to different people, to different sources or online sources, either physical or online sources, to make sure all the necessary facts are gotten, and then it's published with evidence. Then we have journalists. This journalist turns evidence into compelling stories. Yeah, as you look at the fact checks, you have to write. You just don't say this is wrong or false, but you need to put it into a story and then make sure it comes out as an article. So we need a journalist here to work on this, to make sure your work is perfect. So generally this is how it is supposed to look, but then it can be due to other challenges availability of skills with one person. Someone may take more than 1 or 2 roles among these here. You may have 2 or 3 people at your fact-checking desk, or you may have all of these doing different roles as they're explained here. But then at the end of the day, what you can have to come up with is an up-to-date fact check, which the public should again not question. because you have come out to debunk or to tell the people that this thing was wrong. It's the correct version of it is here. So we should not be fact-checked again, but then we should give the rightful information. So, someone is complaining of data. Sorry for that. Yes, Mandenya.
Yeah, GB, I was trying to ask now these different departments which are necessary for a complete fact checking. Can't, like for example, when I'm not a fact checker, can't I be in position of doing all this in order to fact check a story? All these steps here, can't one person do it?
Yes. That's why I was saying that sometimes with the limitedness in resources and even capability, or when someone has enough skills, but I don't think whether one person will be enough to do all this. But still, you can get a fact. You can make your fact check, but you at the end of the day you need someone to edit it at least. So you can have an editor at least, and then of course you can get all these other skills. And if you have all the skills and the tools, because all these departments at least have different tools for using. For example, what an editor uses is not what a researcher uses. So when you have all of them, that can enable you to produce a perfect fact check, then you are good to go.
Now, where is the fact checker here? And this
yeah, the fact checker can fall.
Analyst, copy editor, designer, researcher. Where is it?
The fact checker can fall anywhere in any of this. He can be the, he can still be the editor. He can still be the copy editor, but I think not the designer, because we need him somewhere at the journalistic stage. We need him at the research stage, and at least at the analyst stage. So he can be the designer, but after doing these other roles here, because you cannot design what you have not like. The work of the designer is just to wrap what is already done so that it looks good to the public, looks nice to the public, and according to the standard of the organization. Yeah. Is that clear? Of course,
yeah.
Like for you to be in this team, at least you have to have fact-checking skills. So you have to be a fact checker to be anywhere here. These are just roles.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other? Okay, if it's clear, then let's go to the next slides. Identifying sources to validate the facts. Now here you've gotten your claim. You've tried to fact check. Now you have to identify the sources to validate the facts. A credible fact check relies on sources to effectively debunk. Sources consist the subject himself or herself, then available data and reliable experts in the field. I think this one is almost clear. You have to verify the source. Check their background, their social media profiles and social data. You know, you may think that the issue is very sensitive, but then when you look at the person who shared it, it has no impact or no influence, you know. Then you verify crowdsourced content. Only put out information that is confirmed. You don't have to say, yeah, maybe this one will work, or this one is true, or this one is wrong. You have to be confident. You have to have backup for your source of content. Then sources must be quoted comprehensively with the full name and designation. For example, here, if it is something, a claim that is on health, like these herbals, and you're contacting a doctor, you're supposed to quote that doctor, like comprehensively, his names, where he's working, and even his profession, because not every doctor knows everything, right? So it has to be a specific doctor in that area who has like facts, so that in case someone wants to, afterwards, someone wants to go to him, it's easier to trace, or that person can go and find more information from that person, from the source. Then another one, you should use multiple sources of information and references. This helps to underline the veracity of your arguments. You know, when you get one source, if that source is also wrong, then when they find out, when someone fact check and find out, then you'll be wrong, or someone may decide to deceive, you know. But if you have at least 3 or 4 sources, then yeah, if they all give you the same answers, then you'll be good to go. At least your fact check will be strong enough to defend itself. Yeah, another point is disclose as much as possible about the sources, or asking various sites for comments. I think this one supplements the upper one. At least you need to tell us much about the person. If the person is from DeFi Head now, you need to tell what does he do at DeFi Head. You even need to at least tell his education background or the field, because not everyone at DeFi Head is a fact checker, or if the area is about fact checking anyway. So you need to give full details. Then lastly, you should avoid anonymous sources. You know, some people will say reliable sources, but what are these reliable sources? You know, you need to tell us these sources, exactly where they are and what they do, so that it can give confidence to the people who takes up your fact checks. We can continue, and let's say something about the use of anonymous sources. We avoid using sources that cannot be quoted, since this make it harder to verify their info and hold them accountable. Yes, tomorrow when you find out, because some of these people, they have different intention of sharing misinformation. So when they find out that you have fact-checked this thing and the public now knows the truth, you know, you might have spoiled their deal or what they wanted, whatever they wanted to do with this information. So they will come up and they may come up and start to sue you or bring you to book. So they will ask your sources. You try to say, I got my information from so and so. So if you cannot trace this person, or if you use anonymous source, this person will deny. He will say, no, I didn't give you any. What shows that I gave you this information? So that's also one reason why you are supposed to use clear source, not anonymous sources. Then stay off this unless the story cannot hold without them. And mainly as a backgrounder. Yeah, there are other information, there are other stories that you feel like you cannot do without publishing them. And then maybe it is very dangerous to expose the source. So you just use it, but then when you know that this is a true source with all the other factors remaining constant, it's just because of the danger or the other factors. But besides this, you are supposed to have other sources, and then you use it just as an addition, you know. Yeah, if you have adequate information explaining the circumstances leading to the source's identity remaining anonymous, you also have to give adequate information explaining that because of this and this, I'm not going to mention this source, but you trust it and not just because you want to keep him anonymous. Then the next slide is credibility of your sources. Yeah, to underline the credibility of fact-check articles, ensure that your sources are quoted comprehensively, full name and designation. Any information from sources that seek anonymity is treated as background information only. Such information must be corroborated by evidence. Corroborated here, we mean like we should have some other sources, and then you use this alongside the anonymous sources. Then you should be committed to be disclosing to your readers the sources of the information in your story to the maximum possible extent. Yeah, make your reporting as transparent to the readers as possible, so they may know how and where you got your information. Yeah, transparency is honest and fair. Two values you should cherish. You know, as being a fact checker, you're supposed to be honest. You are not supposed to be biased, or because this is so and so who shared this, I'm not going to fact check it. No, you have to fact check anything, regardless of whether you know the person or you don't know the person. And then when you fact check this, you have to give the rightful side of the story. If it is wrong, it has to be wrong. If it is right, it has to be right. Yes, Golden, do you have some question? Hello, do you have some question? Okay. Then critical questions when determining what to fact check. I think almost we did this in the beginning. The significance of the statement or the story. As the statement give a misleading impression, is it going viral? We had this slide here where we are supposed to give our fact checks, examples of fact checks. So, but with the interest of time, let's first finish the other ones. If we have time, we shall come back and give our examples or some fact checks that you have tried to. Now we go to rating, like how do you rate fact checks? After you've done everything, or after you've successfully fact checked your claim, how do you rate it? We have like six types of rating. One is false. You may fact check a claim and it is totally wrong. It's the opposite of what is there. So you say this is wrong or false. Then there are other fact checks which have some truth or which are wrong, somehow true. So what you say is partly false with the evidence, of course. Then another rating that you can use is false headline. The whole information down there might be good, but then only the headline is wrong. Then you say false headline and it's misleading. Then satire, as an example in the misinformation earlier on we discussed, this is, you have to explain it is satire, but it may have it may have the capacity to fool somebody or to fool the society. And then another rating, you can rate it as altered or doctored. Maybe a picture or a video or an audio that is manipulated to give a certain image or a picture of somebody, or to pass a different information using someone's pictures. There's what you call deep fakes. Someone may change someone's picture or make someone talk, like fix somebody's voice in a video, and then whatever he says people will be made to believe that this is one, so yet it's not the one. And if you find out that this is the case, then you say this is altered or it is doctored. Then there's hoax or fake. Yeah, when the content is fabricated or published by an imposter account. I think by now you must be knowing what an imposter account is or an imposter is. Yeah, you come here to this IFCN's element for credible fact checking. IFCN is International Fact Checkers Network. This is a network of fact checkers. It is based in the US, in Pointer. It was formed in 2015 with the intention of bringing fact checkers throughout the world, like under control. So you can, during your free time, you can go to the net and find out a lot more about it. But today our interest we are going to concentrate on the elements for credible fact checking, or the code of conduct that every fact checker should abide by according to the International Fact Checkers Network. One of this code is being non-partisan or fairness. You don't have to take sides or no advocating on policy matters. All fact checks are subjected to the same standard. In your fact checks, you're not supposed to give sides. You're not supposed to take sides, as we said earlier. As for example, you may be affiliated to one of the parties, and then you happen to be a fact checker, and then your party publishes or a claim comes from someone who is in your party, and then you fact checked it and you find that it is wrong. But because you are in that party, you feel like, no, I will not do this because this is my party, or I will not say the truth because it will show that I'm taking sides or I've defected or something like that. You have to tell the truth, whether you're from that party or not from that party, whether you like the party or you don't like the party. Maybe you're from the other side and a different party does it, then you find that it's the truth, but it's the truth. But because you are not in that party and you be like, no, I cannot say anything good about that party. That's not what a fact checker is. You have to be non-partisan and you have to be fair. Then transparency of sources. I think we've already talked about this. We have to provide as much details of the sources as possible to enable audiences to verify your findings. And then another one is transparency of funding and organization. Funders should have no influence over conclusions reached, or provide organization structure, provide channels of communication through which audience can reach the organization. When you go to 211 Check website, you will find that everything is open. Everything is, you find from the organization staff, whoever is working there, his roles and where the organization get the sources, all the fact checks are there. So that's not only done by 211 Check. We also have other fact checking houses like Africa Check. We also have Pesa Check. We have one in Tunisia, Tunis Check. So at the end of the day, when you go to this website, you'll find that every information is just open. You find anything that you want. So that's what they're trying to say. And then the sources of funding, for example, when a government funds you, or when another organization funds you, somehow, somewhere they want to give you rules. They may be like, don't talk about us, whether you're doing something right or not. And since they're the ones giving you the money, of course, you'll be listening to what they're telling you. But as a fact-checking organization and as a code of conduct, you're supposed to adhere to this. You're supposed to be transparent to your audience. You're supposed to tell them where you get your sources, And then your funders should not have influence over you. And then the transparency of methodology. You have to explain methodology used to select, research, write, edit, publish, and correct fact checks. You know, sometimes you can make a fact check, and during the fact check, you find that at the end, there's a mistake. You know, the fact check you did also need another fact check. Yeah, it happens. Maybe because you didn't get enough sources or due to other factors. But when this one happens, it doesn't mean you are wrong. Or yes, what you have to do is you don't pull this article down, or you don't pull this fact check down. What you do is you leave it there, and then you write the correct fact check, and you put it also at the same place where you published it, and you tell the public that on this date we published a fact check, but it was not correct. It was false. So this is the correct one. In doing so, you will attract confidence, and your audience will believe in you, and then whatever you will do, people will believe in you. And then finally, the last code of conduct is being open and honest. Correct. Yeah, I think this explains what I've just been saying, what I just said here. Publishing corrections policy, following the correction policy, and doing all to ensure corrections are visible to the audiences. Yeah, when you correct your fact check, you make sure the same sources or the same avenues that you use for publishing your fact check knows that this fact check was wrong, and then it was corrected, and they should know the correct version now. Yeah. Any question on this? On the code of conduct of the fact checkers, International Fact Checkers Network? Okay, if there's nothing, you can see time is also not against us. If there's nothing, we can go to fact-checking guidelines. We have 3 main rules guiding our fact-checking processes. Golden rule number 1, only 1 fact per check. You know, when you get a claim, you may get a claim with a lot of, misinformation. But then when you're fact-checking, you have to make sure you go for 1. You fact-checked it clearly. And if you find, when you're done with that, if you want to do the other ones, you can come back and fact-check again. But with it, when you're looking at a different fact-check, looking at a different particular rumor or claim, but you cannot make correct 3 or 2 claims in 1 fact check. No, that shouldn't happen. That's a rule that you should be knowing. As you're doing a fact check, you have to work on only 1 fact per fact check. Then another rule, that's rule number 2, you have to check every fact check. We do our best to corroborate the fact or verification. For example, rather than using a newspaper story about the budget, we use the budget document to fact check a statement. This one goes back to, it goes back to triangulation. Make sure you have at least 3. If they are too limited, 2 maybe, but at least 3 and above. You have to get more than 3 sources to make sure your fact check is reliable and defendable, Yeah. Then finally, the 3rd golden rule is you draw conclusion based on the facts. These are the facts that the rating that we come to, you either say it's false or partly false, but based on the facts, because you've now realized that because of this and this thing wasn't correct, So those are the 3 golden rules that they're supposed to be on your fingertips, because you are not going to publish a fact check without rating it or without saying this was true, or it was partially true or untrue. Yeah. Here, giving us some examples of PesaCheck, how it uses. PesaCheck uses this checklist to write and prepare their facts. I think these ones, you go through them through your free time, since you're going to have these notes, since you have these notes already. So these are just, yeah. So here we have final editing checklist, still from PesaCheck. So PesaCheck uses the following final editing checklist based in part on the Politic fact checklist. Politic fact checklist is also another fact checking house that fact check borrows their checklist also to make sure they produce a standard checklist. Is the claim open to interpretation? This one comes like when you're finished. Is it easily interpretable by the people? Like after you fact checked it, is there any other way to read the claim? So you make sure you choose the best way. If you find out that there's one way that you have gotten does not satisfy the people better than what you've chosen, then you have to leave that and go for the best, the one which is easily understood by everyone or interpreted by everyone. Then is the rating fair and consistent with the other fact checks? Yeah, this one also, if you decide to use true or untrue or false, yeah, in case you have all your fact checks which are untrue, you have to use untrue. Not today use different for that same word, then tomorrow also use another one for a different word. You have to be consistent, and then whatever choice of rating you choose, you have to go by those ones. Then is the rating supported by all available facts? If you say this claim is true, it's fact, or it happened, this could be something that happened in Juba and then it was raising dust. Then you fact check and find that, yes, it happened. Now, you said it's true, yes, but is there available facts? You need to give those facts. If it means taking pictures mainly from online or from other sources, you need to get those pictures, screenshot them and put them there. If it is an article, you'll get the link of the article and put it in the fact check. In this way, when someone is reading and sees this, he can easily go and find out whether this one is true or it was not true. Then does questions linger? Yes, after your fact check. For example, when you do your fact check, at the end of the day, when I read it, do I raise question? Will I be like, but this one, why is it's like this? Oh, where did it happen? Or who was there? Or things like that. When the fact check is done, does it satisfy the reader? Or does it take away all the other questions that were there? Yeah, this is a checklist for PesaCheck, and most publishing fact-checking houses uses before they publish their fact checks. They have to make sure they put all this into consideration, because mainly fact checkers will fact check the journalists and whoever uses the social media or even out there. But the question is, who fact checks the fact checkers? So it's the consumers. So when you decide to produce a fact check that has a lot of questions that needs to be fact checked again or need to be corrected all the times, then you lose the trust from the public. You lose the trust from the consumers, and then they will not believe in whatever you do. So for you to win the trust of the people, that whatever they look at, when they see this fact check, they'll be like, who did this? Oh, this is from 211 check. Yeah, these guys are good, you know. They have standard at least every time. But when every time you're doing correction, you know, there'll be a lot of questions and you lose credibility. So before you make sure your fact check is published, first of all, you as a fact checker, you have to make sure you've done the rightful things. And then your editor or your publishing house has to also make all the necessary editing to produce a perfect fact check. Yeah, we are almost there. This is just a summary of all what you've done. One of what you're supposed to be with, or you're supposed to come to arm yourself with credible sources. This is very important. When you get a claim, you've identified a claim, then you have to go for the sources. You may find a claim, as I said earlier, you may find a claim that needs to be fact-checked. It is burning, but you can't find sources to back up yourself. You don't have to do that. You just have to leave it, because at the end of the day, they will question you. That's someone who decided to publish it, or the person who made it go viral will question you. And if you can't defend yourself, at the end of the day, you'll be at the losing side. So you have to look for sources. The good thing now, the internet can get you enough information in the shortest time and with the available resources. You may need only a phone or your laptop and reliable data or internet source. So when you have this, you can do a lot. So when you try to check around and you can get well and good, you can also reach out to people. We have the fact checkers group. I know when you'll be done with this training, you'll be integrated to the main fact checkers group. I know some of you are there, but others are not yet there. So when you're there, in case you're trying to look for sources and you're finding it hard, it's easy. You can come there and you ask for help. You know, as a fact checker or fact checking, you cannot do it in isolation. You cannot say, now let me be the one to do this and all the credit will go to me. No, you have to. When you find difficulty, it's very good to ask, and then you produce something which is perfect and correct. The credit will still go to you, because you are the one who has fact checked it. But then you have to find for, you have to arm yourself with credible sources from credible people. Another thing is competition is good, but coordination, yeah, save lives. This one will, it's in line with also this one. You may be like, let me be the one to produce this, but then at the end of the day, you produce a fact check which is not correct, and then it causes more harm than you are supposed to save. So it becomes, it becomes bad. So during the competition, as you're doing the competition, you have to make sure you get the perfect information or the correct information. And this, you can do it through coordination, through your friends and correct sources. Always ensure accuracy and whenever possible, timely information. Yes, when a claim is running, it's good to go for it when it's still relevant. Yeah, for example, that issue of that rumor about the earthquake, it may not make sense like after 1 week or 2 weeks, but it made a lot of sense to be fact-checked that very day or the next day, because people were worried. Even if the fact the earthquake didn't happen that very night, people will still be questioning themselves: is it going to come today? Is it going to happen again tonight? But since the air was cleared, yeah, people became comfortable, you know, and it came at the rightful time. So then increase the frequency of accurate information and counter falsehood. Yeah, as you do your fact checks, you make sure you're consistent, you know, you continue to bring up the correct information continuously. You don't fact check today, then you take 1 month, again you do that. You know, people will be like, I know. Even if there are sometimes where there are instances of rumors are more than the others. Yes, but at least always there are rumors out there. So, or there are claims out there. And remember when I said not every claim is supposed to be rated false or untrue. No. Or sometimes some facts can cause confusion in the community. So you can fact check those ones, which are correct, you know, they are correct, but they can cause, you know, confusion. Then to keep you relevant, then report the bad news, but remember to cover success stories too. Yeah, this one is you only don't have to report about false. Sometimes you have to report about the good news or the truth about what happened. Yeah. So we still have 2 minutes. Forgot we have the attendance today. Let me share it so that we all feel. Last time, on Tuesday we didn't have attendance because we could not get Bida, but today the attendance is here. Let me hope we are all still here to sign the attendance. Yeah, any question as I get the attendance? Hello?
I think there's no question.
The attendance is here. Hello? Christopher was trying to say something, but I could not get you properly.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like trying to say there is no
Sorry, I can't get you, please.
appreciate your time.
Okay. I'm sorry, due to time, I not be able to give the answers to this imposter content and parody, but I'll write it in the group, in the WhatsApp group. Is that okay? And let me hope you guys are signing the attendance.
Yeah, no worries, man. Thank you so much for today's session.
All right. Thank you so much too. Thank you for your time and those ones who participated. I know we somehow started a little bit late. Some of our time was wasted, but I appreciate. At least I'm happy. Yes, all the content has been discussed, and as I said, I'm in the group. In case of any problem, you can come out to me at any time with any either content or problem. As with this lesson and the notes that you're going to be having, I know you can now be able to identify, fact check, and how to fact check. So what you can do, you can start your practice. If you can start practicing, identifying, then you share with us and we see how best we can help you before you finish. I know by the end of this training, all of you will be requested to produce a fact check. So the earlier you start, the better. Yeah. Okay, if all of you have signed, then I'm going to end the meeting and we call it a day.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Hello.